We're going to start our Fireside chat with Commissioner Jimmy Glotfelty. We're going to talk about his work, the PUC's Advanced Nuclear Reactor Working Group. Quick introduction of Commissioner Glotfelty. He is currently serves as a commissioner on the Public Utilities Commission of Texas. Before that, he was founder and executive vice president of Clean Line Energy. His public sector experience includes serving as senior policy advisor to the U.S. Secretary of Energy, Spencer Abraham, energy policy director to Texas Governor George W. Bush, and legislative director to Congressman Sam Johnson. He founded and led the Office of Electricity at the U.S. Department of Energy, and he led the Joint U.S.-Canadian Power System Outage Task Force. In addition, he served on the White House Task Force to streamline energy permitting. My pleasure to welcome Commissioner Glotfelty to the stage, and he's already here.
Looks like I got something right this morning by being here early.
Hot off the presses, big announcement this morning. Jimmy must have known because I think he's got a PowerPoint presentation. So somebody was whispering in his ear. I suspect it was the governor. I just want to, for those that don't know, the governor just this morning released the final version of the Advanced Nuclear Reactor Working Group's report. So very excited about that. Perfect timing. I wanted to read I'm going to turn it over to Commissioner Glotfelty here in a minute, who's going to walk through the findings and recommendations for you all. We had sort of originally planned a fireside chat, but I think it's important that he kind of walk through the final report since it's just now here this morning. But I wanted to read from the governor's press release real quick if my eyes are good enough to read this print. So this morning, Governor Abbott and the PUC announced the release of the Texas Advanced Nuclear Working Group's final report on Texas's plan to build a world-leading advanced nuclear power industry to enhance electric reliability and energy security, promote economic development, and unleash new opportunities for the growing Texas workforce. A quote from the governor: "Texas is the energy capital of the world, and we are ready to be number one in advanced nuclear. By utilizing advanced nuclear energy, Texas will enhance the reliability of the state grid and provide affordable, dispatchable power to Texans across the state. I want to thank Public Utility Commissioner Jimmy Glotfelty and the members of the Texas Advanced Nuclear Reactor Working Group for working tirelessly to put Texas on the path to be the global leader in advanced nuclear power." So with that, I would like to turn it over to Commissioner Glotfelty to walk through the findings and recommendations.
Thank you, Reed. Thank you all. I have a few people to thank up front. Most of all, thank you all for being here. We hope this is a springboard to greater, bigger, better things in the nuclear space in Texas. And this is just the beginning. This is the end of the beginning, and we've got a lot more work to do in the future. First, I would be remiss if I didn't thank V.A. Stevens, who spearheaded this group and led the staff for our advanced working group. She did as much as anybody on this group, or probably more, and I want to thank VA. Everybody, if you were on the group or participated, please thank her. Secondly, I want to thank Kathleen Jackson, who is my PUC commissioner, fellow commissioner. She's here. I think she's the only other commissioner here, but if there has been somebody in my ear that has been, there she is. If there's been somebody at the commission in my ear saying, "Yes, Jimmy, let's go, let's push, we need more nuclear, it's Kathleen, and I thank you for that. And Bobby Janecka from TCEQ is here, longtime nuclear waste leader here in our state. We also have, for the future, because this is about to land in their lap, we have Representative Stan Lambert, Cody Harris, and Senator Charles Perry. They have been steadfast leaders. If you all have not talked to them, I encourage you to go tell them your stories. Get in front of their staff, get in front of their committees, because they are going to be the leaders who are going to get this across the finish line in this next legislative session. Finally, I want to take 1 second to I don't know how to do this. I think the most famous person in this room, you all don't even know who it is, and neither does he, but I'm gonna tee it up that way. The most famous person in this room is Gabriel Ivory. Does anybody know who Gabriel Ivory is? Ivory. Okay, why don't you stand up? And your other students.
Where's the sign?
Gabriel Ivory was the student at Texas A&M that held up the I Love Nuclear Energy sign. He spread the message far and wide, way better than all of us put together on one Saturday morning. So take that as motivation. Let's figure out how we can continue to push nuclear energy in instances like that and other creative ways, and we will be successful here. So thank you, Gabriel. Let's do it up there. Wait, let me go back. Okay, so we've got pictures here, old reactors, which are the safest, best reactors in the world. They are Comanche Peak reactors. We hope that we can show a picture in 10 years with 4 cooling towers there and not just 2. We have Abilene Christian's molten salt reactor program there that Natura and Doug Robinson have been pushing. We hope that is a springboard to success on the new style of reactors, the new generation of reactors that can proliferate in the Permian Basin, that can proliferate around the world. So where are we? The governor wants us to be number 1. We're number 1 in wind, we're number 1 in solar, we're number 1 in oil production and gas production. What's next? Nuclear. That's our challenge. That's our challenge for the industrial sector, that's our challenge for the power sector, that's a challenge for the manufacturing sector to be a part, to be number 1 for this industry going forward. So well, let me go back, hold on. Sneak preview, hold on. We spent a year and a half, as you all probably know. There's so much more work than that's just in this report. There's a body of work that hundreds of people have worked on for a year and a half, and it's substantial. And it will be used for efforts in the legislature, it will be used for efforts in other states, it will be used for efforts at the federal level. We can't put everything in here, so what we try to do is prioritize some of the things that the legislature could do today, beginning in January, that will help springboard us towards success in the future. So what are they? We want to create a Texas Advanced Nuclear Energy Authority. This will be a development authority. This is not big government. This is helping, this is an agency or a sub-agency that will help be the tip of the spear for all nuclear in the state. We need to have a voice. When the working group goes away, who is going to be there pushing this issue over and over and over again? And that's going to be this entity. It may be in the PUC, it may be in the Governor's Economic Development Office, it may be standalone. But it has to be there. We have to push. We have other entities like this. We've got the Texas Space Commission at Texas A&M that can do the same thing, and they are promoting the manufacturing, the exploration of space. We need something like that. The governor wants this to be the place nationally where people are going to come to build reactors in Texas. While that thing gets up and going, we don't have that many nuclear companies in Texas, and we don't have, we've got a lot that want to come here, but they're not based here, and they don't know Texas government. Very simply, we're going to appoint one person to help every single company that wants to do something in Texas on nuclear be their permit officer. Explain to them the 6 agencies or 7 agencies that they have to go through. Help lead them and guide them. So it makes it easier on your finances and helps us understand what nuclear projects could be built in the state, and together we can help go forward on them. I shouldn't need to say workforce programs, but this is one of the 2 keys, I think, as we go forward. You hear this? I don't have the answers for what within the workforce, But we will create a workforce program for our colleges and universities that helps supply the next generation of nuclear engineers all the way down to the most important welder. Our state has the ability to do it. We do it for other types of projects, and we will do it for the nuclear space as well as we go forward. Along with that, we're going to create a Texas Advanced Manufacturing Institute solely for energy. Energy is important that we can learn from oil and gas. We can learn from space also. They are the most advanced fabricators in the most extreme environments. They are producing things, equipment for the bottom of the sea, 5 miles down in the ocean, with pressures high. We need to understand how Texas gets the largest forge without any orders, how we get the largest hip furnace without any orders, how we get the largest electron beam welding system without orders. And the state can step up and help that and partner with industry to make that happen. Once that happens, and once we have it, people will come to us with orders. But we will never get to the orders if, in fact, we don't have the equipment. One of my arguments is that the biggest bottleneck will not be the equipment. It will be the equipment that makes the equipment. And if we go globally, then that equipment that makes the equipment is going to be very, very hard to get. So we ought to work on it now, and the state ought to have a role in that. Public outreach, we've got to have a coordinated effort to help people understand that Texas is not Chernobyl, that nuclear is not 3 Mile Island and Fukushima, that new reactors, this is going to take a long time. You all know this. This is going to take a long time and a concerted effort. But we, as the state, want to undertake part of this. So we will work with local communities on how we do this. And then those entities that are trying to build in those communities, we want to support them. I think the model is the area around Comanche Peak and Glen Rose and the area around South Texas. They love those reactors. They never want them to go away. They want them to build. They want them to expand. The community colleges are growing. The programs are growing. They are integral parts of the community. It's a fantastic model that we can adapt for other communities that want nuclear in this state. Nuclear Energy Supply Chain Fund, this is where the money will come from, either for the Manufacturing Institute or in standalone. We've got to build that supply chain. Part of our study was how many, we looked at NAICS codes, industry classification codes, to try to figure out how many people, how many companies in this state could be a part of the nuclear supply chain. The number is massive. Let me give you one example. If you're producing critical nuclear parts and you need an N stamp, we have 4 N stamp companies in Texas. There are only, 60 or 80 nationwide, but we have 4 in Texas. That's not nearly enough for the future. If you're ExxonMobil and you're building a refinery, you need a U-stamp company to build a pressure vessel. And there are 600 pressure vessel U-stamp companies in Texas. What we need to do is figure out how we can convince and work with the U-stamp companies who build these big, thick steel pieces of equipment with high pressures and low pressures and get them into the supply chain. And this fund will help solve those challenges, again, with order books that aren't yet coming, with training programs that aren't yet coming, with figuring out how if a company wants to get an N stamp, where do they begin and how do they pay for it when there's no site for revenue? The state is going to jumpstart that and make that an effort so that we become a leader in this manufacturing space. And finally, many of you all know we have the Texas Energy Fund. The Lieutenant Governor, the Speaker, and the legislature last session created a low-interest loan program for dispatchable resources. It was way oversubscribed, all gas resources. We need this firm power to help our state continue to grow. We are calling for a Texas Nuclear Energy Fund similar to the Energy Fund, but solely for nuclear. And we want it funded And we hope that the legislature will agree that this mitigates risks by driving down. What these funds do is they would give low-interest loans, 3% loans, for 60% of a plant and the payback period would be 20 or 25 years. So we have to solve that. We're helping reduce the front-end cost by putting state dollars at work. We will have to make sure that we have a great industry and we have a market design that will provide for that revenue to come back, because taxpayers won't be on the hook for it, but we have to fix it. End stamps I just spoke about. Other things that we have to look at. These aren't recommendations, but these are things that we talked about over and over and over again that we know need to be addressed. We just didn't have the depth in our group or time to make it happen. So, expansion of end stamps, critical materials. Is Texas going to be a fuel recycling industry or not? Can we do that? Separate this fuel, future fuel, from waste. How can we be the leader in that? I've advocated that we do reprocessing here in Texas and we create a nuclear fuel reserve. That's going to be up to the legislature. But to me, that would be a really big feather in our cap to do that. This next one, as I said on the first slide, how do we support our existing 2 reactor sites and expand them to 4? A lot of this, I think, has to do with market design. We've got 2 companies in Texas, Vistra and Constellation. Constellation has partners, the city of San Antonio and the city of Austin. But Constellation and Vistra are the rock stars of this industry right now. And we need their expertise, and we need their sites, and we want to help them grow those sites in our state for the good of people, for the good of consumers, and for the good of potentially data centers or other businesses that would like to site here. Finally, market design. We know that the electric power market design here in Texas has been challenging. It is for all large capital projects. It's something that we've worked on for the last 3 years in Texas since Winter Storm Uri. It's going to have to get fixed in some way. We put some ideas in there of ways that we could consider fixing this. Either fix it for the whole market or fix it for a small portion of the market, which would just be reserved for nuclear. That's something that we'll continue to look going forward. This is the basis. I don't know if you can see the borders of Texas, but I was excited once this got put together. We have a great starting point for growing our nuclear supply chain, our nuclear research, our nuclear educational opportunities in Texas. This is what we need to build from. We need to, there are, I forget, 21 universities and schools up there, I think, 17 or 21. We need to grow that. We need to make them deeper, stronger. We need to get them working on the technology, on the issues that the advanced nuclear industry needs. Why Texas? Why now? Texas will succeed in this. Texas will gain. Texas will be a leader. Texas will be the leader if we can do this right. And what the industry will gain are some things that they cannot get in any other state. I won't go through all of them, but I think the point that I'm trying to drive home is what we have heard over the last 14 months, members of the legislature, members of economic development groups, members of different communities, supply chain companies, they want this to succeed in Texas. They want Texas to be a leader. We've heard that other states in the Southeast, other states in the West, they're getting earlier reactor designs, but we have things that they don't. Massive load growth, massive industrial infrastructure, fabricators. We've got ports. We've got so many of the things that are necessary here in this state that this springboard of this report, this is not the be-all, end-all, but it is the springboard to future success. And we're going to need all of you, hold on, last slide. We're going to need all of you to thank Governor Abbott for his leadership. We're going to need all of you to thank the working group who has spent time, the working group and the extended working group, who spent time working on putting this together and trying to figure out what the path forward would be, what the areas of responsibility would be and what the timeline is. Most of it's included in this report, but again, the body of work that we have is massive, and we're willing to share it and we're willing to use it. So with that, I will answer some questions here, but thank you all for being here. I appreciate your efforts. I appreciate you liking Texas and being part of Texas and wanting to build here and continuing to tell that story. Because if you don't, it's going to happen without you. And we'd much rather have you here helping be a part of it and participate in that. Thank you.
So, yeah, and I'm going to ask that y'all keep that applause going, because I think one thing that Commissioner is being very modest about is the amount of work that he and VA and the members of the working group, many of whom are here today, you know, they sacrifice. There's no pay or no extra pay in your case for taking this project on. And so I really want this room to, again, acknowledge the work that they've done, and I'm going to acknowledge the work that you've done and say thank you very much. So,
hold on.
And
I would be remiss if I didn't ask folks who were on the working group or
Yeah.
participated in the working group. You can stand, you can wave your hand, whatever, but you deserve a thank you for the help that you have done on this, and it's awesome. Thank you all very much.
yeah. So, I mean, obviously this is a huge deal. And I do want to leave, we don't have a whole lot of time, so I want to leave a little bit of time, just because this is the first time for this room to see the report, hear the report. I want to leave some time for maybe some Q&A, and Lauren has got a mic and got to work the room, so we don't have much time for questions, so get your hand up fast. But one thing I wanted to say real quick is, you know, and just to reiterate something that the Commissioner said, I mean, I think everybody in this room sees Texas the same way. They see a great regulatory environment, they see a great workforce, they see great attitude, and I think frankly they see a market here for nuclear. And I think what we are seeing in this report is the outline of the policy changes that will really bridge the gap between the desire to be here and the demand for the power, and the ability to marry those things. And one of the things I love about the report is, and one of the themes of this whole conference is the understanding that, you know, this industry is going to have to regrow itself, and the state that really grabs the bull by the horns, to use a Texas phrase, is the one that's going to, you know, own the whole value chain. And I love that is a big part of this report, because that is a big part of the message that we're going to have to carry over. I think it's this way. Back to the Capitol here in January. Okay, so my only question, and then I'm going to let the audience have some Q&A, is you talked about how this is the end of the beginning, and we've definitely got, you know, as I said this morning, feels a little bit like a destination. We've got the final report. A lot of work went into that. It's got to be a huge relief for you and your team, but we're not there yet. So what do the people in this room need to do next?
I think what you'll see is most of those recommendations that the governor said are critical have to have some legislative action. So being involved in the legislative process, whether you have facilities here or you want to build facilities here, it's talking to those members of the legislature. The way that I view this, I wish the state government and the federal government didn't have to provide money for this industry. They do, unfortunately. So this is a money game right now. How do we bridge the valley of death between where we are today and when these orders start coming in? How do we do that? We have to have state money involved, because we're competing with 50 other states. We've got the blessing of a massive oil and gas industry in this state, and what they have provided is a surplus. They have provided with know-how and understanding of how to do big projects and get them done, and that's what we need to tap into. The fact that we have a surplus is gravy, that they can, if the legislature chooses, and what I'm asking you all is to help them make that decision. I think they want to. We've seen positive discussions, but when you get into the session, it's a competition. My proposal versus your proposal. Are we going to fund one or the other? Are we going to fund both at half? You all need to get in there and make the case. So this end of the beginning is, the report writing is done. Now it's the communicating. It's the communicating with everybody at the local level. It's communicating with everybody in the legislature. It's communicating with your supply chain. It's communicating the fact that we want to build things here in Texas.
Questions?
None?
Well, there's one. Jack's got a question.
Jack Belcher with Cornerstone. Jimmy, you mentioned market design. Can you outline what you think the changes need to be made to a market design?
So thanks, Jack.
A softball.
Different, right. The different market design proposals that we have are just listed in there. There's not a deep discussion on them. But there are ideas. What do I think? I think there are a couple different avenues. Let me just say what we think. You know, kind of a regulated component of the market that's solely nuclear, that you can uplift those costs to everybody across the state. Very low amount across 18 million people could be very easy. A fund to help lower the cost of early construction projects, a dispatchable energy credit. I mean, there are a lot of them, Jack. They're listed in there. Unfortunately, it's more than just me who's got to make that decision. The legislature went through this fight last session, and the thought was that we didn't want to stop all of the other things that need to happen and have them get bogged down in the market design fight. We have to solve the market design issue in some way, and I think the leadership knows that. We just didn't want to bog down everything else that has to get done with that one issue that's been fought over the last 2 sessions. So with that, I'm giving you a non-answer, but thank you for the question.
Any more questions? Shirley.
I have one.
Oh.
I have one. What can all the people in this room do to help get these bills passed?
I'm sorry?
What can all the people in this room do to help get these bills passed?
I think it's, again, go in and see members. It's go in. Listen, we are not successful in this space. This is my opinion. We are not successful unless we build new reactors. I mean, it's very simple. If we don't build things, if we don't build reactors, big reactors at existing sites, small reactors in the Permian Basin, ANRWG in Freeport, we are not successful. It's not a kind of win or kind of lose thing. It is we are successful. It is the expansion of molten salt. It's the project at Texas A&M. We have a great runway. We just need to execute. And telling members of the legislature how to execute and that you want the execution done is what needs to happen.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think, look, the governors and the commissioner have put, a bold vision down there and a marker that Texas is going to be #1 in nuclear. But it's, I think, the mission of everyone in this room to tell the legislature how we're going to do that and how we're going to get there. It's going to take, I think one of the things that is really important to know going into this is the legislature is, they're cautious about incentives. They're cautious about giving away taxpayer dollars. And we need to be very eyes wide open on that. However, and I think this is one of the key messages that the commissioner and the governor are delivering, is this is a huge economic opportunity, and that small investment that we're going to be asking for is going to pay dividends, multiple times over. And that's a message that we really, really got to get into the Capitol and get into, the understanding of the legislators, because they are reticent to do that. There is a big surplus, but there's going to be a lot of competing interests for the use of that surplus, and helping them understand what this opportunity is and why the investment is worth it. is going to be a big part of being successful next session.
Yeah, if we do this right, it will pay for itself. We become just say on a great day by 2035, we have 7 or 8 new nuclear reactors in our state. It's probably on an ambitious day, that would be a really good number. That's not total success. That's success for our market. But our fabrication components want to be part of every reactor around the world. We've got the ports, we've got the fabricators, we've got the technology. We need to get the latest and greatest equipment, the biggest forges, the best hip furnaces, all of these other things in order to make us the leader in that space where we have a role in every reactor being built, with the exception of those in China and Russia.
We have one more question. I think we have time for one more.
Ryan Yu from Korea Hydro Nuclear Power Company. Do you have any specific timeline for the first unit deployment in Texas?
I'm sorry, timeline for?
Timeline for the first unit deployment of the nuclear.
The timeline for the first unit here in Texas.
Yes.
My guess, if we're ambitious about this and we can solve a money problem, it would be 27, 28, 29, maybe 28, 29. I think the curve here is no different than any other place, but it's a function of money. Doug Robinson says this. It's a function of money. How can we get permits completed, and then the function of capital? If we can utilize and attract capital to accelerate the building, the construction of components, parts, concrete, whatever, for those projects, then we will be ahead of the curve. And we can accelerate that with the use of capital. And the better we accelerate that, the more people will want to put capital into it. So it will lower the price of capital. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say thank you to Reed and Lauren. This forum is not something that we've ever had in Texas. And I hope you all participate in it, and I hope you're active, because when the working group goes away and before this development authority gets really up and running, this is the place where we can come and share views, and this is the place where we can meet other people and suppliers and have discussions about real projects. How can you help me build X at Y site? Or how can you help me offset the risk of this project with this data center? That's what we need this to become. Thank you all.
Commissioner, thank you very much.